Budget 2025. I see MP Otley at the desk and signing to speak. MP Otley, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I don't have anything. I think you give me this the wrong way. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. Good day to the Honorable Prime Minister, his support staff, my honorable colleagues, the viewing and listening public. Today, as I look across from me, Madam Chair, I see ministers that are here to present a budget, or presented a budget. And out of all the ministers sitting there, I can say 2 ministers has been honest with the people of St. Maarten. Minister ECYS and Minister Justice. Those were the only 2 ministers that started their presentation by saying, I am basically not in agreement with this budget, or the cuts in this budget stifles my productivity. Stifles my productivity. I saw an article by the Minister of Education stating that I will not support any more cuts to the budget of the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports. Very, very important. We asked the Minister of Justice about crime, how we're going to combat crime, but yet the budget is cut. I saw yesterday the ministers, one of our only approach at this moment in this budget is CCTVs. And we are saying the minister, through you, Madam Chair, went quiet. She didn't go quiet. What she realized is in the beginning, she vowed to do a lot of things. And when you see this budget, through you, Madam Chair, what you vow can't even get started. Because what the government failed to realize is that although some of the implementations cannot be completed in 2020-25, there is something called a process, a legal process, where you can take finances put towards the finalization of the process. We have some new ministers sitting across from us, Madam Chair, but in a short couple months, May, some of these ministers will be sitting here for 1 year. And I say this because time flies. Because the #1 song on the CD that keeps repeating is 4 years, 4 years, 4 years, 4 years. And 4 years is going to come very, very fast. But while we are so obsessed with 4 years, and we can all do better, all we are seeing is exemplifications of the last 4 years. I spoke about the cuts. And I know we're going to say personal facts, but it's not nothing against any name that I bring up right here. But we need to be cognizant of when we speak. And I look at the PFP faction through you, Madam Chair, and I say, Mr. Marcel Gums was there before 4 years. I look at the DP faction and I say, Honorable Chair Lady was there before 4 years. I look at MP Prime Minister. He was there before 4 years, through you, Madam Chair. I look at the Minister of Justice and say Franklin Myers was there before 4 years. And I look at the Minister of Public Health, Social Development and Labor, and I can say Romain Lavelle was there before 4 years. St Maarten didn't start 4 years ago. Because as I go through, I will show the progress of the past 4 years. #1, a budget is presented that is identical to the 2024 budget. 90% identical. And then we're going to say we don't have time, we didn't have time, it was election. But then I look back and I look at during election, all the ministers had achievements. Everybody had a poster with achievements and what they accomplished. So you could have accomplished stuff before. Madam Chair, through you, I ask the Honorable Minister of Finance, does this budget reflect Marinka J. Gumbs? And the answer was yes, it does. Of course. Finance has a significant increase in the budget. Millions. Everyone else is struck millions. Of course. And when we talk about playing politics, whenever we state something that can help benefit the people of St. Maarten, not because I'm on this side of the bench, means I'm playing politics. My job is to see, my job is to converse, and my job is to bring things forward. I asked a specific question. I made a quote saying exactly what the Minister of Finance stated as it pertains to collecting tax revenues and focusing on collecting new revenues as opposed to chasing revenues of the past that you are not collecting. I didn't make that up. I read it verbatim. I didn't make that up. And the Honorable Minister of Finance came back and said, but it's different than GEBE, and GEBE can go belly up, and GEBE, if it's consequences, when Madam Chair, through you, the tax office goes belly up, the government goes belly up. Because this budget that we present, I said to the people of St. Maarten, this is your money. The Minister of Finance stated it. The people of St. Maarten is carrying this country on its back. Of course. Of course. That's what this budget is based on, Madam Chair. Taxation. And the reason that I scream and I beg and I ask for revenue-generating measures is that when you have revenue-generating measures, you decrease the burden on the people. If you do not have revenue-generating measures, you have no choice but to turn to taxation. I have listened to the government, and mind you, at this point, with little revenue-generating measures, they have no choice. But we hear vehicle tax, garbage tax, this tax, that tax, tax, the government of taxation. When I say relief, no, we have to research, we have to. Have an article from 2012, even yourself, Madam Chair, has been screaming for the relief for GEBE for seniors. I have an article with the Honorable Minister of Tayat. Her tariff 60. I don't know what changed. I don't know why it isn't respected. Even that I can say, okay, it's some sort of relief. Madam Chair, through you, I can ask for clarification. I would like to ask for clarification on the 10.9 million guilders increase under the budget post for the Minister of Finance, 4021 Project and Activities Staff Bureau. Because there's no mention of this in the elucidation. No mention in the elucidation. To achieve the goals of simplifying tax system and improving tax policy, the only financial elucidation is $100,000 for tax reform. What is the correct amount required for your tax reform vision in 2025 to you, Madam Chair? What is the outcome that the people can expect with this tax reform? We're saying money, let's go tax reform. What is, I have yet to have the breakdown of this tax reform. As you indicated, as Honorable Minister of Finance indicated, she is taking the lead in the tourist tax legislation. Then I hear the Minister of VSR speak about it through Madam Chair. Then I hear the Minister of Tayat. So I'd like to know who's taking the lead. And since the main revenue-generating factor for this government is one that was created by the previous government, myself, so this is why I think it would have fallen with VSR, but I would like to know, since everyone is depending on it, each minister, have you read it? Have you read it? And if you have read it, I would like to see where an explanation on where your ministry can benefit from this tourist tax. Since it's so important, have you read it? You see, Madam Chair, to date, I have not received the requested signed agreement between the Minister of Finance and the Central Bank of Curaçao St Maarten stating that we have first right of refusal. I would like to humbly request this be submitted. We did? I see. Thank you. I stand corrected, and I can say publicly we have received it. Okay, I'll check with my staff. You see, Madam Chair, on page 37 in the two-lichting, a lot of the two-lichting we can see is a mere identical copy of the 2024 budget, which showed lack of vision. I see presentations and I see potential and plans and what we want to do and what we're going to do. And I say this, that I am glad that, because I know the realities of being in government. I know the reality of when you're not there, you think you can snap your finger and things can happen. I know the reality of exactly as I stated to the Honorable Minister of Justice, you can vow, and then when you realize that your budget is extremely cut or extremely skinned, it puts you in a bind. You see, Madam Chair, the Honorable Minister of Finance, through you, the very first meeting, I was so impressed. The Honorable Minister of Finance had me sold when she spoke about the Enya. Had me sold that the money can go elsewhere, the money can go here, this is the worst deal ever. And I even told the Honorable Minister of Finance, I have a brand new respect for you. And I really said that the Minister of Finance lived up to her campaign slogan and logo, Marinka, don't buckle. That's what I thought. Until then, we're here, pressured, signed the Enya, agreed to the Enya, or else. And then we go for a work trip and come back and says, we have to deal with budget, because the Netherlands say we have to approve the budget to get this 75.6 million. And then the Netherlands say that we have to approve the Enya. And then now we're here today, Madam Chair, through you, with a budget that I know is rushed. And I say today, I'm disappointed. Because I thought, Marinka J. Gums don't buckle. But Marinka J. Gums, through you, Madam Chair, buckled so much in this short time that by next election, the logo will be a belt or a seat belt. This is just buckling. You know? Taxation. People need relief. Relief. I'm going to speak and I'm going to continue on it because a meeting was promised after the motion, my motion that was passed by Parliament, that the Chair of Parliament requested the government to come back with a realistic approach within 2 weeks. The meeting was not held. I listened to the last press briefing where the Honorable Prime Minister was being congratulated for having us stable back on the grid. And then yesterday, I don't know, it was proven that, yeah. See, we have to pull the wool from over the people's eyes. Not everything is political. And one thing when I was there, whether it's good, it's bad, you used to get a release from me. Because when you're in that seat, you're responsible whether it's good or it's bad. I have questions. I don't know. They'll have to decipher, Madam Chair, because when it comes to GB, I don't know who to relate it to, the Azet or Rami, but we have questions. But to the Honorable Prime Minister, I have this question. Was there a bill submitted for the formation of government by a private entity? Was there a bill submitted for the formation or the drafting of the contracts or drafting of any for the formation of government? If so, how much? If not, it's okay. I see faces, but if not, it's not. Also, I asked the Honorable Prime Minister during the Central Committee meeting about GEBE, the 10 generators. When was the agreement signed? And when was the deposit sent for purchasing? I also asked the Honorable Prime Minister, when did the board give a decision on such? Through you, Madam Chair, I would like a copy of the board's dated decision and a copy of the dated approval when this was approved and when the money was sent. Also, obviously, the 10 generators are still here, and yesterday we got kicked off of the grid, but I heard through the release, I saw through a release and I heard in press briefing that the 10 generators will be returned soon. Is it safe to return these generators? Because we also see that 75.6 million, well, not see because I didn't see it, heard that it's here. And I specifically remember standing here, Madam Chair, and saying, before receiving the funds, because we gave the approval to go and negotiate, before receiving the funds, please allow Parliament to be aware and please update me specifically on what are the contexts of the agreements. But now the money is here. Money is in the bank account. So what are the stipulations? We were just in Holland, together. Opposition and coalition, and all of us sang the same song. Conditions, conditions, conditions. So I'll be very much surprised if 75.6 million came with no conditions. Madam Chair, through you, can Honorable Prime Minister let me know when we can expect a response from BTP on the lowering of the fuel clause? Very much needed. To the Honorable Minister of Vrummy, I realize that the presence of the Vrummy staff is no longer there when it comes to road works. Say one, say two. Under the tenure of MP Duran, then Minister Duran, we used to see the presence of the Vrummy staff when it comes to road works. Slight road works, of course, but they were there. What is the issue? What is your plan then? Maybe you have a bigger plan, but what is that plan? I have seen, this is not no story through you, Madam Chair, I have seen a car tire explode there in Bush Road with that hole. I have seen an accident right there on Pondfield with that crater, through you, Madam Chair. I have seen this. This is not someone telling me. It requires your urgent attention. And I say the one that is getting squeezed probably the most is the Ministry of Vrummy, with this big lump sum of 75.6 million, because your big projects, through you, Madam Chair, your big projects have to be put on hold. Because there ain't no way 75.6 million is not going to affect, through you, Madam Chair, your projects. Madam Chair, through you, the priorities that were stated, the top 3 priorities: prison, Met Office, land purchasing. Previous government, previous government, previous government. Celebrate airport, celebrate the Carnival Village, celebrate hospital finally off the ground. Previous government, previous government, previous government. And the previous government wasn't perfect, far from perfect. But it seems that only the negativity make us remember the previous government. The historical LBAs that are being signed. I even looked at my colleague, MP Lyndon Lewis. But I can say, previous government. I saw the Honorable Minister of Justice with an article released, previous government. But one thing I must say, I agree with the Honorable MB Lyndon Lewis is that the payment of the justice workers, because that is one thing. It was a process of the El Bay that took us 3.5 years. And I know for a fact when the decision came to pay in stages, that was a big issue. Now, Honorable Minister of Justice, I see that you have 6,005,900 allocated for a payment. So my question to you is the unions in agreement? Are the unions in agreement with such payment? I say this because, again, we can plan one thing through you, Madam Chair, but I have seen the reaction of the justice workers when told we are going to spread your payment throughout 10 years or how much ever. So if that discussion was not had, Honorable Minister of Justice, please have it immediately. Immediately. Don't just follow a blind budget. On the government land, Minister of Romy, what is your plans? I know it was the previous, our plans, where we were dealing with cemeteries and etc., and even housing possibilities. But what is your plan with the government land that is listed as a priority? I also noticed that mental health was not listed as a priority. We even received extra money in 14 million for it, but it's not listed as a priority or top 3. Madam Chair, to the Honorable Minister of TEAT, in the government's marketing and promotion efforts, how is it spent on radio promotion within the region? I say this because I listen to the radio, for instance, and I hear repeatedly Dominica's Carnival advertisement. I even hear Dominica's Creole Fest advertisements or Sing Kit's advertisement. Do we do any of the sort? And if we don't, I think it's very, very important because I'm hearing this Dominica ad so much. I could see myself there. So we need to, if we haven't, it's a good idea. Let's market, let's pay other radio stations. Come to St. Maarten, make St. Maarten your next destination. It works. It do work. Honorable Minister of TEAT, what is your thoughts on the tourist tax? Where do you see the Ministry of TEAT benefiting the most from the tourist tax? Because in the legislation that is there, again, the amount has to come to the government coffers. But the agreement within government, because we cannot take money to pay government bill, but agreement with government at the time was that a percentage of the money will go towards SZV. This was also discussed with the CFT and also approved with the CFT. Is this the same plan with the government? And that question can be for the Minister of VSI as well. Honorable Minister of TEAT, you gave a date, a restart date of January 2025 for the marketplace. I've been patient, I've been understanding. I look forward to this finally starting January 2025. See, through you, Madam Chair, the Honorable Minister of TEAT don't have to pass there almost every day, but we do. And those were the same cries that the Honorable Minister of TEAT used to give us over here, stating that she had to pass there every day. So she knows how it is. If something is wrong, state that it's wrong. If something needs to start over, say it that it needs to start over. The job entails the good and the bad. And I think with the government, we are too afraid to divulge the public what may be seemed or perceived as bad, because not everything that is perceived as bad is bad. I move to the Honorable Minister of VSI. Honorable Minister of VSA, I see that the minimum wage is increased. Congratulations. Again, I am very, very happy. I see that the pension has been increased. Congratulations. But it's just very funny, during election, MP Utley did it wrong. MP Utley did not do the minimum wage the correct way. The minimum wage is no good, it's no good, it's no good. Until I had a meeting with the Honorable Minister of Finance and I showed her where it was published in the Abbey. And today, the 48 cents or 46 cents that you increased by, through you, Madam Chair, is added to the 1040 that I brought it to. See, had I not taken that action April 1st, that 46 cents would have been added to 963. But today, we can rejoice. But I am happy, and kudos to the Honorable Minister of VSI, even though the announcement didn't come from you, through you, Madam Chair, for such. Madam Chair, I need to know the plans of the Honorable Minister to help SZV. So I asked you, through you, Madam Chair, about the health levy, tourist tax, to ensure that it's still the same. Because if you think, through you, Madam Chair, that India was a crisis, try 50,000 persons. If we think 3,000 was a crisis. SZV has openly stated that they are expecting to lose 23 million this year. Openly stated. And stated before, I think it was 19 million last year that they lost. That is a problem. And we are ignoring the problem. And again, we can say, but you was there 4 years. Yes, that's why the health levy is drafted and ready. And I say health levy, and we are referring to a tourist tax. But I say that because the premise was to do such and save SZV. And the premise when we were there, and the actions that were taken through you, Madam Chair, gave SZV not one, not two, but 3 positive reports, audit reports. So I pray that you continue such steps. Madam Chair, through you, I'd like to touch on cannabis a little bit. And I send this to the Minister of TEAD and the Minister of VSI. Because the opium ordinance fall under you. But you cannot just go and legalize marijuana because, again, we need to do the studies, which will be paid by a company. We need to do the law for each and every ministry, which will be paid by a company. And we need tax assessments and all of these things. Yes, Madam Chair. Through you, Madam Chair.
MP Utley, with your indulgence, allow me to adjourn just for 2 minutes. I'm just going to change chairs with the Vice Chair for a while.
Take me open zone.
No, you remember the topic you were on, so you could just pick it up right there. I'll adjourn for just 2 minutes. Meeting adjourned.
Old political trick, eh?
Good afternoon. I hereby reopen the meeting. MP Otley, before I give you the floor, you have 1 hour and 2 minutes and 40 seconds left. MP Otley, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam Chair. I was on the cannabis. You see, I see the Minister of TEAT who wants to facilitate cannabis. I need to make sure it's the Minister of TEAT because when MP York was reading certain things, I saw the reaction as if it wasn't. But the cannabis is a revenue-generating measure that adds to this country. I have stated before, I think when people hear cannabis legislation or RFP, they immediately start to think dispensaries and sales and locals. And again, and I said that it's a much tedious process that we have to go through. A legislative process that is going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it has to be brought to the floor of Parliament, where Parliament can make any amendments that is... Some MPs. Come inside.
Members. Yeah, you may proceed, MP Otley.
Thank you. And it was stated that, again, I refer to Antigua. Antigua has projected in 2022, if I'm not mistaken, about 23 million for the year, and projected more each subsequent year. Again, St. Maarten, we have to stop being afraid to modernize. Until other islands and countries do it, then we say, oh, we are left behind. We have the responsibility to do such. And then I turn to the Minister of VSI where he says we were in a court case. We are. And I don't blame you, Minister of VSI, I blame your predecessor. You know why I blame your predecessor? Because again, when we see cannabis, we get scared and we don't do our due diligence and what we need to do. Therefore, through you, Madam Chair, when the company wanted, and I can speak, wanted to see the bid, I said, we are not going to send you documents of other persons. You are invited to my office where we can sit with your legal, my legal, and go through the bid. I was told that after I left, there was a document sent whereby if the government does not respond, there'll be a price of $500 a day or even more. And today now you are faced with such. Yes. And I think that those communications need to be within the coalition because I'm seeing their faces a bit lost. So that we can be on the, so that you, through you, Madam Chair, can be on the same page when one speak of it, that is coming soon, they can understand on the back end. Again, no excuse. Why? Oh, because we don't agree with exclusivity. Honorable Minister of VSI. That's why I ask you, take your time and read. Have your staff read. If others don't or didn't, that's on them. I have the contract right here that was signed by my person, and exclusivity was removed. Exclusivity was removed. And if your predecessor took their time and not judge it but do the job, you wouldn't have been in this bind through you, Madam Chair. Exclusivity is not, go skim it through. It was previously in the non-signed version. Exclusivity was removed. I have it right here. Again, take your time and read. Madam Chair, it'll be remiss of me not to touch on the quademic. I put an article out stating that St. Maarten is lagging behind in the response. And when I see the rest of the world, China, America, Aruba, Curacao, and all I was saying is that you have a job to do, Honorable Minister of VSI, through you, Madam Chair. I'll close my paper for this one. And instead of doing that job, you allowed whoever to coax you into responding through you, Madam Chair, to me, and not giving the people of St. Maarten the proper information that was needed. The article had no substantiation because I'm not fear-mongering, because I'm talking about the reality. And in case you did not read on the quademic, through you, Madam Chair, influenza, respiratory virus, HMPV, norovirus. What does this mean? These 4 elements, and I looked at the Honorable Prime Minister, are viewed as what? An epidemic. Recent release has shown France and its territories has viewed the influenza, labeled the influenza virus an official epidemic. And then I read your article and it says, oh, no worry, and we're fear-mongering, it's just the influenza. Data has shown that the influenza flu has killed more persons than the COVID-19. How dare them allow you, Honorable Minister of Finance, VSI, to say it's just the influenza, through you, Madam Chair. Because I have spoken to a couple MPs in here. One have norovirus, one have the flu, one have respiratory. And it's going around. And while we may not see hospitalizations, but I don't have access to that. I don't have access to that. My only way to get access to that through you, Madam Chair, is to ask you. Because I personally know persons who are on antibiotic. And I say plural, more than one, more than two. They were so sick they ended up on antibiotics. We have learned, we should have learned from COVID-19, because I sat right here, March, April 2020, when we were just learning about COVID, and the rest of the world were already facing it. And everyone through you, Madam Chair, was saying, in December, I know someone that was sick bad. I know someone that was mashed up bad. I know someone, but nobody was dying then. And all I'm saying is that your job is preparedness over disaster. That is your job, and and if the other countries are taking precautionary measures, what are you doing? And if you are doing, I am saying, notify the public. Have you reached out to the French territories? See, I see that you shake your head yes through you, Madam Chair. Again, we don't know. I know that there's a saying, new chair, new rules. And then there's a saying, new minister, new rules. Because things have changed drastically in the ministry, depending on who goes in there. And I have spoken to you, through you, Madam Chair, about ensuring that VSR gets its priority, because I am seeing a lot of things that I was working on that every minister is speaking on, and you are silently letting it slip away. Silently letting it slip away. Through you, Madam Chair. Don't worry, I know you are. So again, I just spoke about the legal issue within the cannabis. Through you, Madam Chair, I would like to know, clarify to me. Maybe I was wrong, maybe I don't know the correct amount. Clarify to me the legal issue, through you, Madam Chair, on the cannabis. Again, you just got in. I asked, through you, Madam Chair, on your thoughts on the SAHA. I still await that response on the SAHA. Did you read the SAHA? There's a lot of legislations that I left on your desk. And I say your desk through you, Madam Chair, because it was there when I left. There's even the SFA 1B legislation as it pertains to taxi drivers, sole proprietors, all of them being able to receive insurance. The formalization, even the formalization of travel medical. Because based on the legislation, we're only supposed to go to Curacao. The insurance process for 62 plus, that's why when persons, through you, Madam Chair, go to the government and ask for pay cards, they get denied. Because it's not a formal legislation. We do it on a humanitarian basis. Well, I used to do it on a humanitarian basis, and now you, Honorable Minister, through you, Madam Chair, is doing it on a humanitarian basis. All of that was in the SFA 1B. And that legislation was already sent to the Council of Advice. So now you need your NADA report, and then we can get the ball rolling. That's how far it was, Minister. An immediate win. Immediate win for yourself. Well, if others didn't want to do it, you can, through you, Madam Chair. But if you don't, I will, through you, Madam Chair, from right here in Parliament. Because it's already drafted and already ready to go. So at this budget debate, I'm giving you the courtesy, through you, Madam Chair, to do what you need to do. It already went to the Council of Advice. Honorable Minister of TEAT, I would like to refer to an article that I saw pertaining to the EDC. And I will say, Honorable Minister of TEAT, if such allegations are true, then you need to take a necessary course of action. But I also do know that there have been discussions. I also do know that according to the individuals, because I reached out, and they have email trails for May, June, July, August, September, to have a meeting with the Honorable Minister of TEAT. Again, regardless of who, regardless of what, proper jurisprudence or proper investigation will have to take place. And if it's so, it's so. But if it's not, Honorable Minister of TEAT, ensure that the same way that it was publicized, it is also publicized that it's not. I will never stand here through you, Honorable Chair, and try to deter you from doing your job, Honorable Minister of TEAT. Never. So I just wanted to make that clear here on the floor of Parliament today. That'll be all, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, MP Otley. To which other member of Parliament can I give the floor? I'm not seeing that anyone else wrote their name on the speakers list.